I asked Kenneth to sing that because I to remember the vastness of sky. And as big as I think sky is, God's even bigger. And sky is usually considered something that we like, that we're awed by. We often take it for granted. But it's so big, and it's funny, I hear the strains of Sondheim's music there, and it's a little sad feeling, a little melancholy. But I listen to all the words. And all the words are about remembering a great experience, a big experience, something that I felt good when I experienced it. And isn't that God? Isn't that God? My God moment, what I would call my God moments in life, that I have so enjoyed and we're striving to recapture rather than create new. Let me go back, and I wanted to feel like it did then. And it's like, but I don't have to get that. I can have now. And now can be great. Now, today's talk is called I Go Back to Source. It's not going forward into Source, it's always going back into. And I really do believe that we all within us have the memory of good. And that it is available all the time. And it can become something more than a memory. It can become an active living organism in our daily thinking and living. Active living organism. I'm going to read a couple of things to you that I found here that I like so much. Somebody put this article together, and she talks about, she says, where does the source of our health really come from? And she says, the common thread in healings illustrates the premise that God cares deeply for his creation. Now remember, I almost never refer to God as him. I don't get into the whole gender thing of God. God is God. We could never limit God by a gender. And the caring that is implied here is very different than you or I caring about each other. It would seem that I have a choice of whether or not to care about you and vice versa. God has no choice. Because God is God. God's not thinking, do they deserve? Does he or she deserve my caring? Deserve it? Not at all. The caring comes in the willingness that we could always be happy. We could always be joyous. We could always be free. This person says that health is actually a law of God. And it is. Because God is principle. God is spirit. Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, said that sickness is a sin. Poverty is a sin. And what is sin except missing the mark? Missing the mark. It's not about a judgment from God. It's merely not claiming the full inheritance of the kingdom that is available to me at all times, in all ways, in all things. She said that because God made everything good, health being a condition of goodness, was and is the original continuing state of our being. Jesus demonstrated through his healing works that God alone is power. And the understanding of God's power casts aside fear of another power that can produce sickness. She says, when I learned how to pray in according with the teachings of truth, I began to witness healing. Well, I too did that. I imagine some of you have demonstrated healings of sickness, be it mind, body, spirit, when you applied what you knew to be true, the laws of principle. I began to witness healing, but it took practice. Each time I needed relief and turned to God, I found prayer to be a reliable solution for health problems on a daily basis. Now, a new thought, prayer is affirming and denying. You don't hear begging in either one of those, do you? You don't hear, oh, please God. And some days we got to do, oh, please God. And some of us have seen results of that. But I guarantee you it's only because you had a new thought. In your begging, you had a new thought that healing was possible. If you are, oh, please God, and you don't have a thought that healing is possible, you will not demonstrate that healing. Not because somebody's holding out on you, or not because somebody else is holding out on you. Some of us want the healing, but not at the cost of our upset. It became very natural for me to turn to God first when I encountered difficulties of any kind, including issues with relationships or with finances, which were solved using truth teachings. So when I am not feeling well, why do I turn to God? Because I know God is the source of my health. And prayer enables me to prove that. Prayer has a reliable track record for bringing about the healing when I've needed it. God is the source of my health. Do you believe that? Do you believe that God is the source of your health, that God is the source of your wealth, and God is the source of your wisdom, your harmony, your peace, your joy? God is the source, not the conditions, not the highway, not your body. My body is not the source of my good. And certainly my friends aren't the source of my good. But the conditions of my life do reflect what I'm thinking about. All of the effects. The story I tell myself of my life, of my house, my home, my money, my work, my play, my friends, my family, that's reflecting what I've been thinking. I was upset with David about something the other day. And it was not pleasant for me as I continued to go to Source to realize, oh, this is what I'm thinking. This isn't what's really happening here. This is merely what I'm thinking. This is the story I'm telling myself. It's not the truth. It's like, doggone it. Doggone, I wish it were his fault, because then I could just try to get him to change. But it isn't. He's merely mirroring what I believe right now. And I'm mirroring for him whatever he believes right now. And we mirror for each other what we are currently believing for each other. And in our sinnership, as it were, the way we keep missing the mark is we keep trying to get each other to change so that we can be happy. And that's where we miss out. We're not going to the source, we're going to the effect. To get the effect to be different. I know that David says in the thought exchange, you look in the mirror, you're wearing a blue shirt, and you wish you were wearing a red shirt. I look in that mirror and I see this blue shirt, but I want you to be red. And the mirror keeps saying, but you're wearing a blue shirt. But I want you to be a red shirt, but you're wearing a blue shirt. Geez, that mirror's stupid. That big dumb mirror showing me a blue shirt when I want to be wearing a red shirt. And seriously, and in my insanity, it does not occur to me to run to the closet and get a red shirt out of it. And I'm not stupid. I am insane, however. That whenever I'm trying to get the mirror to have a red shirt when I'm wearing a blue one. When I'm trying to get the mirror not to show me a hurt child, when clearly there's a hurt child in my mirror. When I'm trying to get the mirror to show me 175 pounds, when clearly it's showing me something different, showing me, when clearly I'm trying to get the world to be different. Oh, if it were different, if David were different, if you were different, if they were different, if my mother had been different. That stupid Adam and Eve. What screwed it up for all of us. Because we'll keep going back. If I can't find blaming you, I'm going back in time. But I need to go back to the source of my good. Not the source of my confusion. Not the source of my, quote-unquote, bad. Not the source of my damage. Let me go back to the source of good. Let me go back to the source of wisdom. Let me go back to the source of love. Let me go back to the source of peace and of joy, of understanding. Let me go back to the source of all that. I climb up these steps every week to profess that I believe. Of all the self-help books that I open, because I profess I believe that there is help for me. There is help for me. There is truth for me. There is wisdom for me. There is good for me now. It's not about there is good for me in my future. Once I apply this and this and this and this, one thought can heal everything. One thought. It may take time to witness it, but one whole thought can heal every bit of it. How many people have proven it for us? And how many times have you proven it for yourself only to forget? Have you proven that all possibility of good exists? How many times have you gone to the brink of financial disaster only to come back up? How many times have you had sickness flooding your body only to be well again? How many disagreements have you had with people only to have them healed when clarity was made? And yet we will still hold on to this one that says, well, this one will never speak to me again. This one will never agree with me. This one will never. It's not true. It's just not true. She says, I was able to sit on a rock and pray. As I drew nigh to God through prayer, a thought came to me that I was God's expression, entirely spiritual, and this expression included all that was pure and good. I understood God to be the one power sustaining all life. And as God's reflection, I was able to express life. So I had life, and I had it fully. I have life, and I have it fully. Would you all say that with me? I have life, and I have it fully. Say it again. I have life, and I have it fully. One more time. I have life, and I have it fully. Now, we all know someone who's struggling. Well, I assume you all know someone, at least one person who's struggling. So you've seen a news report at the very least. So I'd like you to send this energy through you and from this room to them right now and say, you have life, and you have it fully. Let's say it to whoever. You have life, and you have it fully. Say it again. You have life, and you have it fully. One more time. You have life, and you have it fully. See, now we're starting to raise the vibration here. We're putting it up. Finally, it says, I was able to put my spiritual understanding into practice, which is what we just did. The result proved that the more we know about God, the more this understanding is manifested in health and well-being. I rely on truth teachings not only for healing, but to increase my understanding of man's relationship to God, our Creator. I turn to God in prayer for healing because my love for God and my trust in God's ability to respond. Charles Fillmore in the book Prosperity says, God can give much as easily as God can give a little. Years ago, I was at a seminary graduation for a friend of mine, and there was a group of ministers who were the teachers, and there was one who had great difficulty walking. And she was given a chance to pray. And she was praying, she said this prayer for the students, and at the end of it, she said, and God, if you could heal my legs just one little bit, I would be so grateful. And I thought, why are you putting all that time into praying for a little? When you can have everything. God doesn't need us to heal in increments. It's me holding out on myself that creates incremental healing. We can have a whole healing. A whole one. And we can have it right now. Myrtle Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, she had an instantaneous healing that took 2 years to show up fully in her body. I talked about it last week. She had 3 months to live with tuberculosis in 1886. It took 2 years. She lived another 45 years. And we're all here above the Ford dealership today because of that.
Unity Ford.
Yes, as says Peggy Lee. Someone else wrote, there is a cosmic intelligence that is in all things and through all things. So you see, anywhere you would look, there is intelligence, there is substance, there is truth, there is well-being. You can look in the chair. Now the chair certainly is not the source of your good, but the source of your good created that chair with a divine idea. The clothing you have on, whether you like the clothing you have on or not, there was a divine idea. As therefore the source of your good went into the creation of your clothing. This time together, there's cosmic intelligence, and we can use it. If you have written a book, if you have read a book, it is cosmic intelligence that went into that. Last week I was criticized by another minister who did not care for it that I read the Holy Spirit's interpretation in her church because she doesn't like channeled material. And I said, but aren't all books channeled? Wasn't the Bible channeled? Wasn't? What is not channeled? When you get up and you do a talk without all the notes, where do you think that's coming from? The one mind. The one divine mind. We are all drawing forth from the one mind. And then we are either using the information or we are misusing the information, depending on the story we want to tell ourselves about how we wish to change the effect. The source is the one mind. So just understand, whether you know it or not, every time you are looking, you're trying to figure it out, you're going to the one mind, the divine mind. Now, you may be trying to go to it with limited information on that one mind. So perhaps you need more understanding of that one mind. You're not going to get all that from me. You're not going to get all that from a Sunday morning. Hopefully, I have ignited a flame, a spark of inspiration in you, so that you would think, oh, I want to demonstrate differently than I've been demonstrating. I want to see everything I see differently than I've been seeing it. Well, I've got to go back to the source of information with an assumption that there is love in that source of information, that there is wisdom in that source of information, and there's nothing in that source, that one mind, that wants to hurt me, that wants to confuse me, that wants to upset me. There's nothing in that source. There's plenty I can use from that one source. If you were here Christmas Eve, I read about the temptation experience, but Jesus kept saying no to the temptation. No, you're confusing the source. You're confusing the source. He kept saying to his ego, get away from me, Scoot. Scoot, I don't need that information today. It's wrong. It will only confuse me, and I know the truth of my being. And so you look at them. Person goes on, there is the one real substance. From it, all things proceed. It is intelligent substance or mind stuff. It is God. It is what we call God. Where there is no substance, there can be no intelligence. For where there is no substance, there is no thing. Where there is thought, there must be a substance which thinks. So, in your memory today, just tell yourself, just remind yourself, I have a memory of God, the good. And it loves me. Within that memory, I am loved. And I am loved always, in all ways. I am loved. And those whose conditions I fear for, they are loved. Always and in all ways. And whether I fear them for themselves or for my own peace of mind, we are all loved, always, in all ways. I am loved, always, and in all ways. Would you say that? I am loved, always, and in all ways. Let's say it again. I am loved, always, and in all ways. One more time. I am loved, always, and in all ways. And so it is.